Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Jodabeni and I'm an electrical engineer, and getting a job has been a nightmare in the past 365 days. There's a lot of people who watch this channel who do have the electrical engineering degree or whatever other engineering degree you may have, and you are trying to break into your first career job and you just can't. And we're gonna talk about it.
According to a study of over 3.8 million jobs on LinkedIn, roughly 38% of entry-level jobs required 3 to 5 years of experience. In industries like manufacturing and software services, that number jumps to well over 50%. Meanwhile, the unemployment rate for recent college graduates now sits above the overall unemployment rate, marking the largest gap between these two metrics we've seen in the last 40 years.
Imagine getting your software engineering job, your software engineering degree, and you're part of that 50%, where out of your whole class, half of you will not be able to find a job because all the jobs are looking for 3 to 5 years of experience. Even though you just came out of college, it'll literally say a job for a new grad, and it says, hey, please bring 3 to 5 years of experience, which is pretty interesting.
What's really frustrating for job seekers is that when they find a job clearly labeled as entry level, but then uncover that they require years of experience to get the job, a paradox that's left millions of young workers stuck in unemployment limbo. The entry-level job as we know it has changed over the past 40 years, and we're going to break down exactly why that happened. From the end of World War II through the 1970s, entry-level jobs served a clear purpose. Corporations filled roughly 90% of their vacancies through promotions and internal advancement. The goal was simple: hire someone with good manners and a determination to work hard, then provide them with training, a career trajectory, and a pension plan as a reward for company loyalty.
Honestly, right now, company loyalty, I don't know. Because back then, a lot of these companies did take care of their employees. Wherever you worked, a lot of these employers promised you pension. So you knew as long as you stuck with the company, they would take care of you. And now today, you don't really see that. You'll try your best to stay with the company, and you might just get laid off because they're trying to meet the demand for the orders.
During this era, you didn't need prior experience. You didn't even need a college degree for most positions. Companies understood that investing in workers was investing in their own future. They had time and resources to train people because they planned for long-term growth, not short-term profits.
And if you pay attention to the job market today, the group that barely leaves their jobs tend to be the boomers. And because the boomers come from this generation where you stuck with the company and they took real good care of you, so you took real good care of them. And now on average, most people in millennials and Gen Z are staying at companies, or they're being told, hey, don't stay at a company for more than 3 to 5 years because you need that's the only way to fight the inflation rate.
But starting in the 1980s, everything changed rapidly. The first major shift was corporate America's growing obsession with shareholder value. According to Harvard Business Review, from the end of World War II until the late 1970s, companies operated under a retain and reinvest philosophy. They provided workers with higher incomes and greater job security. But in the late 70s and early 80s, this broke down completely. A new regime took over, what researchers call downsize and distribute. The priority shifted from investing in employees to reducing costs and distributing freed up cash to shareholders. Training new workers started to be seen as an unnecessary expense. Why hire someone without prior experience and waste time and money teaching them when you can hire a skilled employee that doesn't need to be trained?
Did y'all hear that? Did y'all pay attention to what she just said? You guys saw how Amazon is laying off 30,000 employees. And if you haven't seen my last video where we looked at the 15,000 that they're laying off 15,000 employees, and these are managers from level 5 to level 7. And on average, their paycheck is around $288,000 per year. And cutting 15,000 employees for layoff, the company is making over $2 billion in savings. And people don't see this. And this is where we are today, where a company will lay you off first so they can make the shareholders happy, then take care of their own employees. And if you've been watching so far and you're enjoying the content, please be sure to hit the like button. It helps the channel tremendously. And if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. We'd love to have you join the channel.
Now, let's talk about how broken the modern hiring process has become. When platforms like Indeed and LinkedIn became popular, everything about hiring changed. Before online job boards, companies had to actually interact with people. They hosted job fairs, conducted in-person interviews, and manually reviewed printed resumes. The hiring process was slow, personal, and limited by geography. But suddenly, applicants could filter for job type, experience level, company, and reviews, then upload their resume and apply in seconds. Companies started receiving hundreds, even thousands of applications per day for a single role. That volume completely changed the game. Hiring became a numbers and filtering problem. One way to combat this is to add on a 3 to 5 years of experience requirement, even if the job doesn't actually need it.
So one thing they didn't mention is today, with the help of AI, everyone has the perfect resume. Everybody writes their resume, gives it a check, and receives the perfect one. And now hiring managers on the other side, everybody looks like a good candidate. And now that makes it even harder. So I think that's also a key part why a lot of companies are requesting 3 to 5 years of experience, is because even if AI made your resume, maybe your experience can trump whatever lies that it's on the resume itself.
Companies also turn to applicant tracking systems, or ATS software. You upload your resume thinking a human will see it, but in reality, a robot scans it first. If your resume doesn't match a certain format, lacks specific keywords, or doesn't look the way the algorithm expects, it gets rejected before it ever reaches a hiring manager.
Oh, I remember whenever I was looking for my old job, I remember the first time I submitted an application, and within like 5 minutes, I got rejected. And the first thing I thought to myself was like, wow, that manager was already looking at his application process. And then over time, I realized some companies their AI system will automatically cut you from the application process, which is crazy to me.
According to a joint Harvard Business School and Accenture study, 88% of employers believe that qualified, high-skilled candidates were being filtered out of the process because they didn't match the exact criteria in the job description. That number rose to 94% for middle-skill workers. Companies are admitting that their own systems are rejecting qualified candidates, but they keep using them anyway because they have no other way to handle the volume. According to Pete, nearly 80% of US companies outsource at least one HR function, including recruitment. The top players dominating this space include Randstad, Adecco, and Manpower Group, handling millions of jobs.
So a lot of companies are getting bombarded with applications from everywhere. People are getting really desperate. People need to feed their families. So they're willing to apply to anything, even if they don't qualify. And that's a smart way to approach. If you are in a dire need for a job, especially an electrical engineering position or any other engineering position, you should be open to applying to everywhere as much as possible. There's electrical engineers who are doing civil engineering work today just because they couldn't find a job as an electrical engineer, but then they started doing civil engineering work and they loved it. You don't need your FE for everything that requires civil engineering. There's jobs that you can do that doesn't require having certain certifications.
Placements annually. And even these outsources often use subcontractors. Here's how it typically works now. A hiring manager writes down a wish list of qualities they want in a candidate. Historically, this would go to a seasoned recruiter who would help gauge the necessary requirements for the role. But now the process often goes to an HR department, who then outsources it to a third-party recruiting firm, who may then use AI models to create the job posting. When you apply, your application first passes through an ATS system. If you make it past that, your first interview is typically conducted by a third-party interview network. Then you might interview with someone in HR, and only after all that do you potentially meet the actual hiring manager who will be supervising you. And
so based on what they're saying right now, I heard a rumor going on with Amazon when it came down to like the H-1B visa problem that was going on. Apparently, with all these third-party hiring, they would usually use H-1B visas or a lot of hiring companies in India, and in return, those hiring companies would only hire other H-1B visas. They would vet other people and reject them, and then hire those who are H-1B visas. So now I'm wondering, I've seen people who try to go to companies in person and try to say, hey, I want a job here. Is there a way I can give you my application? A lot of these managers would just be like, hey, go online. And if managers really want to stop getting scammed by bad candidates, I think a lot of managers should start opening up to the thought of accepting physical resumes so that they can actually look at and maybe talking to the people who are there applying for the job itself, like in person, so you know you're not getting scammed from somebody.
what's surprising is that only 39% of hiring teams receive interview training. What we're seeing is more and more layers of applicant screening that happens before coming into contact with hiring managers. This leads to requirements that aren't necessarily relevant to what the job will actually entail. Wish lists that get filtered through multiple layers of people and systems who might not fully understand the role. According to recent 2025 Harvard Business Review research, less than 1/3 of US companies actively monitor whether their hiring practices result in quality hires.
Yeah, see, that's a big problem. This right here is a big problem because there's quality candidates out there who are waiting to get a job. But unfortunately, because the hiring process isn't being vetted, a lot of people are slipping through cracks. And now you're having a lot of talented people who can effectively help these big companies. They're just being washed away.
Quality hires. Only a minority track key metrics like cost per hire and time to hire. And as if that wasn't enough, there's also the massive trend of outsourcing jobs to other countries. According to Forbes, approximately 300,000 US jobs are outsourced every year, many of which would have been entry-level positions that gave young workers their first opportunity.
And this is why I'm an electrical. It's much harder for companies to offshore a lot of engineering, like physical engineering things, is because the moment it leaves US soil, it's in a free domain and it's harder to protect it's harder to protect company innovation. So that's why a lot of these engineering jobs require extensive background checks so that there's no leaking information to other countries, because some of these companies you will work for as an electrical engineer do pick up government contracts. Not every single company has to be a defense contractor, but there are companies who, although they have other engineering projects, they do pick up military contract, and none of that information can leave the United States. And a lot of people who are required to work on those things need to have a clearance. So it makes it harder. All these people who are getting their job tossed overseas are either A, in software, or doing something that can easily be shipped or outsourced. That's why I continue to believe that, hey, if you want to avoid your job being offshored, do something that forces companies to buy local. Whether it be getting your FE certificate, even a civil engineer, they have their certificates that will force local engineering companies to only buy people who have certain licenses in the USA that can do that work, which makes it harder for them to offshore your work because you got to be there in person and actually look at it.
Survey found that 51% of Gen Z graduates believe their degree was a waste of money. In Strata's recent Talent Disrupted report, only about half of bachelor's degree graduates land a college-level job within a year of graduation, and 52% remain underemployed. Between 2020 and 2025, around 43% of middle-skill jobs and 37% of high-skill jobs dropped their college degree requirement, reflecting an ongoing trend in skills-based hiring, according to the Burning Glass Institute.
You saw that, right? A lot of companies are dropping their degree requirements. That's why I say, if there are companies out there who need people, you just got to put yourself in front of the right people. If you're an engineer and you're struggling to find a job, keep looking, but definitely be open to move anywhere, because the moment you are closed-minded and you say, hey, I don't want to leave the city that I grew up in, my family's here, oh, that's fine, you don't have to leave, but it's going to be much harder for you to find a job. There's somebody in some random state, some company in a random state that needs your skill set, but because you don't want to move, you're going to miss out. And this is happening to a lot of people, especially Gen Z and millennials. They don't want to, they're very complacent in where they're at and they don't want to leave. In today's market, you have to be flexible to move to the other side of the country to get a good paying job.
37% of high-skilled jobs dropped their college degree requirement, reflecting an ongoing trend in skills-based hiring, according to the Burning Glass Institute. Major employers like IBM, Google, and Delta have been reducing degree requirements for certain roles, emphasizing specific skills and real-world experience over formal degrees. So what does it mean when jobs demand 3 to 5 years of experience? Companies value actions and want to know how well you can perform, and having a degree alone might not prove this to them. According to a 2025 survey by Intelligent.com, 27% of US hiring managers prefer to avoid hiring recent graduates, citing concerns like poor work ethic, lack of preparedness, and unprofessional behavior.
And a lot of these managers that don't want to hire new grads, I understand. The education system right now it's not very good. Most of these jobs that graduates are applying for are going to be completely different than what the college taught them. A lot of colleges are definitely behind the curve of what's happening in the corporate world. So until that gap is closed, where people who are coming out of college are using the same software, using the same skills. Before I graduated college, I didn't know what a SME review was. Things like this, colleges should be implementing. Your senior year should be colleges training you how to go into the job market. Not, hey, create a project and that's it. I'll hopefully get a job. No, start training us since we're freshmen how the corporate world works so that when we graduate, companies can just be like, hey, I know if I select this person who graduated, I'm actually gonna get a return on my investment. But I understand how they feel because people are coming out of colleges and they're completely clueless. And now to add the fact that AI is being at play, you don't even know if the person you're hiring is going to be qualified because they could have just cheated their way to their degree. And that's why they're looking, now if you look at it this way, now you understand why they're looking for at least 3 to 5 years, because they know if you've been working for 4 years, you're part of the generation that didn't get to use artificial intelligence as a crutch. So they knew you fought for your degree and you had to learn you had to learn your craft to be able to support any missions with the company.
Moreover, 60% of businesses have fired at least one recent graduate in 2024 due to unsatisfactory performance, and 75% of companies reported some recent grads as unsatisfactory hires. While all of this has been happening, entry-level jobs are disappearing due to automation. According to a Pew survey, less than 61% of human resource leaders said they were hiring for entry-level positions in 2023, down from 79% in 2022. That's a massive drop in just 1 year. Employers expect 23% of all roles to be disrupted in the next 5 years due to rapidly developing technology, according to the World Economic Forum. A Goldman Sachs analysis estimated that up to 300 million full-time jobs globally, including administrative, legal, and basic tech roles, are exposed to some degree of AI automation. Many entry-level positions, the jobs people used to get their foot in the door, are being handed off to software. Customer service, data entry, scheduling, content generation. These were the stepping stones into corporate careers. Now, they're being replaced by automation. Entry-level jobs that demand years of experience are the inevitable outcome of multiple systemic failures over the past 40 years. Companies prioritized shareholders over workers. The internet flooded hiring managers with applications they couldn't handle. ATS systems filtered out qualified candidates. The hiring process got outsourced to people who don't understand the roles. College degrees stopped providing the skills employers actually need, and AI started replacing the jobs that used to be entry points.
And that's where we're at right now. We're getting completely cooked in the markets. Luckily, I graduated and started working before all this came tumbling down. And I can already put that I've been working more than 3 to 5 years of experience, and I'm lucky to be outside of that range. Now, everybody else who are coming out of college, it's gonna be very tough. And it's kind of scary when you see it because you just spent 4 to 5 years of your life working so hard to get a high STEM job, and you finally start submitting your resumes, and the company's like, oh, I get it, you're a new grad, but we need 3 to 5 years of experience. It's very confusing. Isn't that the whole point of going to college? So we can come help the corporate world, and now they're just pushing everybody off. So let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you think there's a solution to this, let us know in the comment section down below. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Jodabeni is out.